So, Coach, you guys go 1-1 against the top two teams in the standings this week. I believe you guys are still in third place after this weekend. What is your assessment of your last road conference weekend?
I'm not sure exactly where we stand now, if we're third, fourth. It's a very interesting year in the MAC. We could still finish as high as third. We could finish as low as ninth with only 2 matches left, and that's very unusual for the MAC. So this weekend was overall, I would say, a good weekend. Getting the win at BG, that was a good win, particularly the way that it happened. It seemed like a lot of it just came down to matchups, and each set was so different. We won big, they won big, back and forth. And then we got to the 5th set, and we felt really good about the matchup we were getting and the initial rotation that we were starting in. And we got out there and just couldn't go forward and got stuck, couldn't side out, and we were down 7-1, which is, I'm not going to say insurmountable, but it's not looking very promising at that point. And we'd already used both timeouts. And so then we switched sides and got a little run. It was 8-4, so made a little bit of the gap up. And then just a little bit at a time. You get 2 or 3 points when they would get 1, 2 or 3 points, they would get 1. I want to say we caught them maybe at 12, 13, somewhere in there. And then, of course, it was point for point the rest of the way and ended up winning 17-15. So that was a really good win against a really, really good team, particularly on defense. And then Miami, the most polite way to say this, we weren't very good at all. And you have to give Miami credit for that, and they can make you not play very well. But there were some things on our side that we didn't handle at the level that we needed to. We defended okay for much of the day, but we did not attack well. Our tempo wasn't what it should have been when we're setting. And some of those things, we weren't as good in serve receive. So really that was the side that we've been doing really, really well, serve and pass. I think we lost some focus on that side, and it cost us. Miami's a great team, and you have to be definitely playing at your potential to be able to beat them.
To put it politely, the Bowling Green match in the 5th set, it looked like you guys were done. You're down 7-1, and it seems like you're probably not coming back from that. But what does it say about your team, especially given the youth on your roster, that they were able to keep at it and pull out a win?
Yeah, it was truly a great win. When that happens, Lizzie was gassed. There came a point in the 4th set, we looked out there, we're like, not sure how much she has left. And we'd set her a bunch, she had 73 swings, and she was kind of running on fumes at that point. And really, in that last set, our defense really stepped up. I believe we had, 14 blocks on the night, and I want to say we had 4 of them, at least 3 of them, maybe 4, in that last half of the 5th set. And a challenge, and this is true for a lot of teams, but a challenge for us is just minimizing our errors. And I think the first set that we won, we had 19 positives and 5 negatives. Another set that we won, we had 21 positives, 5 negatives. The sets we lost, it was flipped. We're hitting balls out of bounds, and in that beginning of the 5th set, they had 7 points, and we had scored 5 of them for them. We had 5 unforced errors of their 7 points, so we're just not mentally in a good place. But once that settled down, I think we went 12-1 the rest of the way as far as positives to negatives, and we scored our last 12 points ourselves. Either a block, an ace, or kill. It wasn't them hitting balls out of bounds. It was that our level of play picked up. So I was really impressed with that. And then I guess going back to the whole weekend, it says a lot about our team, not just that we got that win, but it says a lot about our team that they are truly upset when you go 1-1 against the top 2 teams in the MAC. Because you back up 6, 7, 8 weeks ago, our team would have been thrilled with a weekend going 1-1 against the top 2 teams in the MAC, and that shows the maturation of the team, the maturation of them as competitors, that they understand, look, we can be more than what we thought that we could have been at this point. And so now the expectations are higher. When you lose, it hurts a little more. When you come back in the gym, there's a little more intentionality, but I definitely am pleased with where our team's going.
It's been no secret this year that you guys haven't been a great blocking team, but you put together a big night against a tough Bowling Green team. What was the key to the success there?
Well, we've been spending a little bit more time on that in the practice gym, and I guess the best way to say it is if we're blocking really well, Rodney's doing really good things and he's training them well, and if we're not doing good things, then I'm not doing a good job of giving them enough time to train. And that's something that I need to do a better job of making sure we get enough reps on that side. We were really struggling in serve and pass for a while. We put a lot of really concentrated emphasis on that. made some big changes. Went from getting aced 2 times per set to now we're getting, for probably 3 week span, we got aced once every other set. I mean, half, per set. And it just, we have to be intentional on the defensive side. And we saw some of that last week. We continue that today. We had practice this morning, and we literally, let's see how many kids, a lot of the kids, they hardly hit at all. I mean, it was just all blocking, almost the entire practice and floor defense. So that's something we believe we can still make some strides on that in the last couple of weeks of season. And then, again, this last weekend, our offense wasn't quite where we would have liked to be, but that's something we'll be working on tomorrow.
Not to read too much into losing to Miami, but is there any concern that when you get in tournament time and you come off, if you're coming off an emotional win,
right,
say in that first round, are you guys going to be able to sustain that? Because it seems like that's kind of been a struggle a little bit this season.
That's a good question, and I don't know yet. We'll see, and that's part of, I think we're more mature now than we were a few weeks ago, but there's still some of the up and down with being a young team. I think what I do like is we got to play at Miami on that court, and then if we can obviously qualify this week, either by winning or somebody else losing, however it happens to play out, if we can qualify for going back to Miami, we will have the advantage, significant advantage, I believe, of playing on that court that we've just played on. Going into the tournament, we will have been the most recent team to have played on that court at Miami. Some people, especially if you're coming from the other side, you may not have played there at all. They may have come to you. And I never like that. Just being on the other side, and you're like, well, we're going to NIU or Western or wherever, someone on the other side, and we didn't go there that year. Just, man, that's a lot to get used to all at one time. So I really see that as an advantage. And if you want to go kind of an old coaching cliche, it's hard to beat a good team 3 times in a year. Well, we avoided having that concern. We made sure that we split with Bowling Green, we split with Miami. Those are 2 teams on our side that are really, really good teams that we could very well see again.
This weekend you get Kent State again, and then you have Central Michigan, who you haven't played this season. What's the scouting report on both of them?
Kent State is, and I've said this before, that they're an interesting team. I can't look at them and tell you, well, this is why they're struggling. They have a ton of returning pieces from last year when they're very successful. They have played a number of teams just as competitively as we have this year. They went 5 with Bowling Green this weekend, but lost. They lost in 3 to Miami, but they played them closer than we did. When I look at all those players, they have pieces to be really, really good. And I don't know what's caused them not really to click this year. You never know, and that's not my story to know. That's their story. But I know that I respect them as a group. I respect their coaches. I respect the amount of talent they have on the court. And we knew that going in last time. We played at their place. Like, this is a good team, guys. This is a really good team. You got to throw out the record. I think at the point that we played them, they were 2 in a bunch. And then they beat us. And they're that good. I mean, they're a really, really good team. A number of good pieces. I won't go into all the different details, but they have a number of pieces that are really, really good. And I know at any point they can get going. It's a different situation for them, and I believe now they're mathematically eliminated. And sometimes that takes all the pressure off. Sometimes when that happens, you're like, well, let's just go enjoy playing volleyball. And usually you play really well, but you're just out there enjoying playing volleyball. And so they get a chance to play spoiler and mess up some other people's dreams and hopes for the year, and that can be a very powerful thing. So I believe they're a good team. We have to be prepared for them to play at a high level. Central Michigan, kind of a storybook run they're on right now. It'll be really exciting for me to watch, except that we have to play them this week. But they're the hottest team in the MAC. They started 2-7. They've won 5 in a row. No one else in the conference has won 5 in a row. And they're not just winning; they're dominating. I mean, they swept Western. I mean, they've done some really impressive things as part of this run. And they're a good team. They have a number of pieces, but they have an outside that probably has the strongest arm in the conference. And Jordan Beater just really hits with a lot of pace. Middles that are pretty dynamic movers, jump well. Another outside. I mean, they have a number of pieces that do good things for them. And there's a great deal of energy and excitement when you're like, okay, we're fighting to get in. We weren't there last year. They made a run last year, but they came up just a tiny bit too short. They beat us last year in the last match of last year. We went into Central Michigan with seemingly nothing to play for. If we won, it wouldn't help our seed to move up. If we lost, it wouldn't help or force our seed to go down. And we played like it. It was just, we were up 2-0 and really not playing well. Before you know it, we end up in a fifth set match. It just really played poorly in the fifth set. Mal had 9 kills in that set, played out of her mind, but the rest of the team, it just kind of was there, and so we know going in, they're on the same journey, except now they're in position at 7-7 because the West is even more congested than we are. On our side, we have Bowling Green and Miami have separated themselves. They're going to be 1 and 2, it looks like. But on the other side, I think the leading team on that side, I believe, has 9 wins. And then we have a bunch of teams that are 7-7 and maybe a 6-8 team. And so if I remember correctly, I think it's still mathematically possible for CMU to win the West. And so it's just crazy to think you start 2-7 and now you could still win the West. And so they're coming in with some very different emotions. They want to go to the tournament. They didn't go last year. They could still achieve something really big. And so it's 2 teams with very different emotions coming in, but 2 very good teams.
Last question for me is it's Allie Lake's senior day. What can you say about her and her time here at Ohio?
Yeah, we're looking forward to honoring her on Saturday. She has had an interesting journey, had some injuries early on, ACL, and even like our time together started. Allie's first day cleared from an ACL to be back on the court, fully cleared to play, was my first day here as a coach to practice. And I remember her telling me before practice, like, Deane, it'll be better. I'm just not going to be able to jump today. I'm like, Allie, it's okay. We know you just came back from an injury. And there was just so much uncertainty at that point. And her parents, I remember meeting them at a team function. They're like, okay, it's gonna get better. Don't worry. I'm like, hey, we want Allie here. It's going to work out. This is all good, And she improved and did some things and improved that next year. Didn't get to play that first fall. Hannah was on the right. Got to play the next year. Got to be I guess you could say she was a starter, but wasn't a huge impact player, I guess you could say, in 2015, but on a team that won a conference championship. And then 2016, plays her best volleyball, becomes a first-team all-conference player, and this year obviously hasn't gone the way that she would have hoped. I think we all know that, but that doesn't take anything away from, one, the career that she's had as an individual, or the wisdom that she still gives to our team and the experience that she offers when you're talking to a team that there's one person on our team that's playing right now that has ever played a point of postseason volleyball, and that's Steph. And she's playing a different position than the points that she played a year ago. And to have someone that has that type of experience and knows what it takes, she goes in the conference tournament last year, and she's the one member of our team to make the all-tournament team. That's very, very valuable. And so we want to honor her both for what she is giving to our team now, what she has given to our school throughout her career, and she definitely deserves that.
Kind of playing off that question, does the senior night aspect of the program gain a little bit of sentiment with each year that you're here, since you've had more time with each senior?
That's a great question, and it does. It is. You always want to honor every kid, and my first year here, I didn't get to spend much time with those kids. You know them for a few months, and then it's over, and it does change with each year. And there's still several kids that are here that I didn't recruit, but Allie is the last one that was coached by anyone other than me, and so it is a little different each year, and to see, because you get to see them overcome more. You don't just get to see. I came in and saw Kelly Lamberti have the most storybook senior day you could ever have. Truly, you beat Miami to go 16-0, your first team all conference all 4 years. You got the kill at match point on senior day, drop the mic, walk off. That's not the normal experience. It was a special experience, but I didn't get to see Kelly struggle early on. Not that she struggled a lot. She was first team all conference as a freshman. But you know what I'm saying. Everybody has their own journey, but it does mean more when you get to see them go through those challenges along the way. Even fast forward to next year, and you look at Jamie and Katie redshirting early on and having those challenges, and Jamie from an ACL this year. The more time you spend with any player, the more you understand their story. And when you understand somebody's background, their life story, so to speak, or volleyball life story, that it just all means more. But I'm glad I've had the time that I have been able to share with Allie, and we definitely look forward to honoring her this weekend.
So you guys had a road weekend where you had a day off, and it was mostly travel. So what does the day off consist of when you're at home?
You mean yesterday? The Sunday? Yeah.
Coming into this weekend, Thursday, Saturday. You guys
right, day in between, right. It is. we only do it twice a year when we play our travel partner. And when you're on the road, of course, you go to Kent, then you travel to Eastern or wherever you're playing, with them as a partner. And so it doesn't really feel like a day off, because to me, a travel day is not a day off. But being here, you are at home, and it's a little different. It's a very different feel, because you don't ever have that. And so we will still practice, but we'll practice a little differently that day. It is on the weeks that we have a short week, that we play on Thursday. We do our scouting a little differently. Most weeks we'll scout early in the week for our Saturday opponent, and then once we switch to the Friday opponent, we stay there. This time we strictly focus on Kent State. We don't talk about CMU at all until Friday, because we have a day in between. We can do that. And so Friday will be all about CMU. We'll have a short practice, and we'll do it in the evening, because since we practice in the morning this year, I don't want to play late at night and then turn around and be back in the gym 12 hours later. We're not really recovered at that point. So we'll do video in the evening, and we'll do practice after that Friday evening.
So you guys sit at 500 right now. Is there a motivation factor to finish the season above 500? Do you guys talk about that a lot? Like, we don't want to be 500 at the end of the season. We want to be above 500. Is that?
We don't talk about that at all, but it's understood. I mean, no one wants to have a losing record or have a 500 record. You want to have a winning record, and that's something that's important to every competitor in the room, whether it's a first-year player or if it's a coach in their 21st year. I've had 3 losing seasons, and I don't like them. I don't like looking back on them. I don't like what it felt like. I don't like what that feels like going into the offseason. Not that record-wise we've had a great year this year. We're hoping we can end by doing some great things. That's just, as a competitor, that's how you want to end. But you definitely want to end with a winning record. I mean, that's an important thing in our program history, that when you look back 5 years from now, 10 years from now, nobody knows that we lost a bunch of starters to injury. They just know, wow, we had a losing record. It's the first time it's happened in Ohio in who knows how long, a really, really long time. And we don't want that to happen. We don't want that. Our players don't want that to happen on their watch. I, as a coach, don't want that to happen on my watch. And so that's something that, even though we don't talk about it, I think it's just understood. As a competitor, you want to win every drill, you want to win every match, you want to win every season, and we still have that opportunity in front of us.
So looking back on the entire season, you guys have been through just about everything a volleyball team can go through. Do you kind of take the youth label off of this team now that there's so much that they've been through?
I think it's interesting in that I take the youth label off with regards to it being an excuse. It's too late for that. We've played too much volleyball, and it didn't matter if you've never played before. It didn't matter that you only had one kid out there as a freshman, sophomore. 6 weeks ago, that mattered. Okay, now it's more, I have to be more proactive in understanding the way they're going to respond to certain things. It's going to be a little different. And so I need to coach a little differently. I need to look in advance for those situations and handle them better for them. But we can't use it as an excuse. We can't be like, well, we lost because we're young. No, we've all been playing for a year. At least we've had a full season of training. There are a lot of kids out there across our conference that it's their first year really being on the court and playing for their team, regardless of how much years of practice they've had. And so we can't, again, it's not an excuse, but I have to understand different situations. When kids go into their first ever postseason match, they're going to handle it a little differently. But I think the other part that I've learned from this team, and they're supposed to learn a lot of stuff from me, but I got to learn some things from them too, is their ability to bounce back after losses is really, really good. And it's better than a lot of old teams, because when you lose, when you're old and you're like, oh, we should have won that, we got to be better. And I'm leaving Miami thinking that's the first time we've been swept since Penn State. I can't believe we just got swept in a conference match, because it hadn't happened all year. And I'm very upset about this. And if it's an older team, I mean, you have to feel it some. You have to feel it some to have it change. I'm not saying our team took it lightly. I'm not saying that at all. But they're able to move through that, learn from it, and then move forward in a way that maybe an older team couldn't. And so I think there are some benefits to that, to just having a little bit different experience level. But again, I just have to understand that I have to approach some situations differently.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, guys.